There we go. That's a good sign. All right, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I wanted to see if there were any new attendees today, other than our presenters. Oh, yes. One of them.
Hi, Leslie. Good to see you again. Hi, everyone. I am new to this. My name is Wandana. I am with PCs for People. I'm a regional impact manager based in Denver, Colorado, but KC is part of my region, and I have been introduced to Leslie and Leah, and have learned a lot about the mission and the groups that are working all the great work in KC, and happy to be here.
Welcome, welcome. And we are excited to have you join us today. And I know that it might be nice if you could drop your contact information in the chat, just in case anybody wants to connect with you directly, like we did, and learn all that you have going on. And just get that update, additional update on an ongoing basis from PCs for People. Anyone else? All right. Let's see. All right. Well, that's interesting. Okay. Um, hmm, well, I guess I'm gonna have to do this again. Yay, technology. All right, so here's our agenda for today. And we're going to first hear from Pauline, who's going to give us a bit of an update on what she has going on with Scholar Smarts. And we'll have a panel of our Kansas-based libraries. And we have an exciting opportunity from Digitunity that we're going to talk about. And just make sure we have time for anybody else who has news they want to share. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing and give the floor to Pauline.
Well, good morning, everyone. And thank you, KC Digital. Thank you, Leslie Scott, my partner in crime. And I'll be brief this morning. I need to hop off after I'm done. I need to go to the Phoenix event that they're having for their tenants. But it just gives me a great feeling of gratitude when I'm asked to come and share information about the nonprofit Scholar Smarts educational and employment systems. So I wanted to share my screen. If I can go over to the website, let me do that real quick. And whenever you all get time, please go and visit our website at scholarsmarts.com. And in the upper right-hand corner, typically you'll see a little icon of a person, and we encourage you to add your information so that you can be on our database. So we roughly in the database have about over 330 middle school and high school students that at some point we have touched, and we are growing. But what I'm really wanting to do today is give you a little update and to let you know we are still here. Um, it looks like the paradigm has shifted. I remember when we first came on board, the focus was really college access, and that's primarily what we focused on. But we had to go back as a board and kind of revamp a little bit So my real quick elevator speech is this.
I think we lost Pauline.
Is your nonprofit community partner area. So middle school and high school aged students.
I'm so sorry to interrupt you, but we lost you for a little bit. So we heard your intro to your elevator speech, but we didn't hear it.
Oh, good. So you didn't miss too much. So we are a community partner, and we are a school to career after school program. We are not a brick and mortar program. We pretty much are at the mercy of collaborations where we can go and have workshops at some of our partners. So sometimes we'll be at Penn Valley, sometimes we'll be at UMKC, sometimes we'll be at an actual trades location. So that's what makes it fun, is we are a hybrid program. So we provide workshop training in person as well as virtual. We utilize AI, and we're finding that that is really helping our program. I think what my earlier point was, we are having to revamp. And at one point, we were primarily focused just on college entry. But now we've revamped, so we can easily say that we have the a 3-pillar mindset as far as our focus. So one of our pillars is still college access. And under that pillar, that is where we are focusing primarily on those young folks who are wanting to leave high school, and their post-secondary is really to get to the traditional college track. And we are trained and equipped to help those young folks. If indeed you're associated with points of college access training, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We have experts that are in that field and are more than happy to help you perhaps set up workshops and any type of hands-on activity. We do go to high schools, we give presentations. We have board members that are on the ACT National employment staff. We're also equipped with folks that work at local junior colleges. So as far as the college access, that includes your ACT test workshop. We also offer a special workshop on scholarship development. So for those young folks who are looking to apply for scholarships, we know that there's typically anxiety, and they need assistance. So it's a very holistic approach, including, giving tips on strategic test taking, time management, all of that. The other pillar is what we would call our flagship events, and that would be 2 events so far, which are on Saturdays, and upcoming would be the Infinite Scholar, used to be called the HBCU College Fair. We have an affiliate by the name of Infinite Scholar based out of St. Louis, Missouri, and they go all across the country. They focus on urban communities where those students typically don't get to see something as in-depth as what they produce, where they'll have over 30 college reps, including HBCUs, the traditional 2-year and 4-year colleges. So we have been asked for the last 4 years to be a host to their fair that they put on. We will have that October the 24th, which is a Saturday. It will be at the Municipal Auditorium. You'll hear a lot more about it. Stay tuned to our website. We will have that posted. Then the other pillar is something that we've really been excited about, and that's our employment smarts. So as a nonprofit, we focus on education and employment of our youth. We also recently vamped up a program called the Youth Workforce Academy. And please note the Youth Workforce Academy. It is geared toward high school juniors and seniors, where we're finding out that the employers have expectations and they feel that the classroom is not able to really bring those true to light. So with, again, our board members having background in human resources and doing onboarding and training, learning and development, we're able to bridge that gap. So the Youth Workforce Academy is broken up into cohorts. We're currently on cohort 4. They're typically 4 weekday sessions, for example, 4 consecutive Wednesdays. Again, a hybrid model where we're taking them to actual places of a trade where the trade experts are leading these presentations. And then the hybrid is what we call Zoom office hours, which is really fun. And the young people now are able to hear from experts in a virtual setting in the comfort of their home or what have you, and learn more about being workforce ready day one. So very, very dynamic. We do pre-assessments to get a little picture of what everybody's level is, what their needs are. They have to fill out an application. This is a real quick Google form. They upload their unofficial transcript. They upload an essay. And that way we can have a better picture of who is interested. And so on the Youth Workforce Academy, the goal is to provide a blueprint or some course of action by the time they're done with 14 and a half hours of training with us. They should have a pretty idea of what next steps are for them individually. It's not to say that they have to go into a particular trade or what have you, but at least they know what their options are. And the reason why this whole digital thing is important is that everyone, no matter which pillar that they come under, will qualify for a free digital device. And that's the beauty of it. I don't know any other after school program that guarantees that if you complete your requirements, your tasks, including a resume, and getting a market value credential, you also will get a free digital device. So that's what Scholar Smarts is all about. Currently, again, we are in our 4th cohort. We've probably put through about 27 young folks, high school juniors and seniors, and we're real happy about it. So what the last thing I want to announce is we are seeking a coordinator, a volunteer coordinator for fundraising. So if you know someone that has 2 to 3 hours a week and is a go-getter, they're not, they don't mind boots on the ground, we are looking for someone that can be creative in that space. Thank you for your time. If anyone has any questions, please let me know. It's been an honor. Once again, Leslie, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Pauline. Appreciate you taking the time. Anybody have any questions for Pauline? All right. Well, lots happening with you all, I know, and it's exciting to hear how you've evolved over the past few years, and
Yeah.
we look forward to seeing that continue.
Should I drop my contact info in the chat?
Yeah, please do. And Pauline, one question. The schools you work with, are those mainly in Kansas City, Missouri, or are you regional?
Regional.
Okay. How far out do you go so far?
We just kind of cast a wide net. We don't limit it. We've had folks come in from Lee Summit. We've had folks come in from Johnson County, particularly when we have our career college and trade fair that we'll have in October. We expect over 300 students, and they come from everywhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Great. All right. Well, again, thank you for being here, and we'll be watching,
Okay. Thanks
waiting
again.
for anything that's coming down the pike.
Well, we might have some things coming down the
You
pipeline.
might.
This is never a dull moment in our world.
Mhm.
Yes, for sure. Okay. Well, with that, I'm going to pause and see if anybody new joined us since I asked last time, other than our presenters today. Okay. All right. Well, moving along. So we're excited to have some new voices here today to talk about digital inclusion in libraries. We are a Kansas library-based panel today, and that just happened by happenstance. And it's unfortunate we don't have anyone from the Missouri side, but schedules are tight these days, and we understand that sometimes just can't fit it in. So thank you for yes, Kansas wins the day. Thank you for being here to our library folks. And I think if it's okay, I'm going to start with my home library, which is KCK Public Library in Laura.
Hello, thank you so much for having me today. I do have some slides that I'm going to attempt to share. Let's see. I feel like on Zoom, I'm always like, did that actually work? Am I sharing? Okay, so you see my slides, I'm assuming, right? Okay, great. Okay, so I am the executive director of the Kansas City, Kansas Public Library. And so I'm going to start by talking about strategy, because that's where I sit now in my role, and how we approach digital inclusion. The photo that you're seeing, two photos that you're seeing right now, the first one, 1966, that's our main library branch. The second one is South Library Branch. And I just thought it was neat how those two kind of mirror each other with the person bent over kind of working. But you can see in the modern picture all the bank of computers behind that patron. And so much of what people do now is through the internet, is on a computer. And so that has really become a big focus for I think, most libraries. If you're somebody who's working at the desk doing public service, you are going to be helping people with computers for sure. So I just want to talk a little bit briefly about Kansas City, Kansas first, our demographics, and our county. So Kansas City, Kansas Public Library is kind of a weird setup. Our governing board is the school district, which is unusual for libraries. And so we're kind of limited in how far we can build branches. We can only build them within the boundaries of our school district. If we want to create a library in Wyandotte County outside of those boundaries, we have to partner with other organizations. So this is just a map of our branches. Currently, we have 5 branches, and we also have 3 buses that travel throughout the county and deliver library services that way, which are a very cool service. If you've never checked them out, I highly recommend it. But 3 of those branches, Maine, West, and South, are within KCK. And then the Turner branch is in KCK, but it's part of the Turner School District. So that's a branch that we run, but it's not owned by us. And then up north, where you see number 4, which you kind of can't see because it's so small, that is Schlegel, which is actually a Parks and Rec owned building. Or it's our building, but it's on Parks and Rec land, but so complicated. But anyway, so within Wyandotte County, within Kansas City, Kansas, we serve about 156,000 residents. In all of Wyandotte County, we estimate that to be about 180,000. A high percentage of our population is people of color, 65.6%. And really, what we find is that about half as many residents, according to data from the Mid-America Regional Council, have a bachelor's degree than within the region. So we have less residents with bachelor's degrees or above. The median household income is lower. We have 17.9% of our population in poverty compared to 9.9% in the region. So that's kind of what we're looking at when we're thinking about how are we serving our patrons and what kind of things are we seeing. So when we created our strategic plan for 22 to 27, we really grounded it in our diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so all of our other goals tie in. We're constantly thinking about how do we tie in aspects of diversity, equity, inclusion into our goals. So our very first goal, I think it's actually goal 2, but one of our goals is welcoming library users. And we want to create programs and outreach that reflect our community needs. So some of the action items that we've been successful with over the last several years have been translation services into programs, expanding resources for immigrants, incorporating lifelong digital learning, and expanding the branches and mobile outreach into community organizations and partnerships. And so how this is really translated into our digital programming has been, we've created bilingual positions that we pay more so that they can develop services for Spanish speakers. And so that helps us with our one-on-one tech help. If we've got, Spanish patrons who need the one-on-one tech help, we can connect them with a Spanish speaking librarian or associate. We hired an emerging technologies librarian, and that person has identified several gaps in our programming already. He's created programming called like AI Unlocked, and we're doing 3D printing, digital safety for seniors. He's developed a partnership with Latinx Education Collaborative and Revd Ed KC, or Revd KC, I guess is how you say that. And it's EduTech, so that's in Spanish for the residents who don't speak any English and need that extra computer assistance. We also have goals specifically around technology, so technology that expands access. Over the last several years, we have worked on getting more charging stations. Things like when you've got patrons who we have a high unhoused population that visits Maine, and sometimes even if they're unhoused, they do end up, they have a device, so they want to charge it, but where do you charge it? So they come to the library. We have all the cords that they need. We have the stations. We have, laptops for checkout, all that stuff. We've also invested in adaptive equipment and expanded our technology courses. So we've added ADA accessible computers to every branch. We do one-on-one career and computer help, things like tax help, all those things that you have to do online now that, you can fill out a paper form, but we offer those services at the library, and we just continue to try to advance those services that we're directly offering to the patrons. So between March and May, we have about 40 technology programs, everything from, how to use Google Sheets. We have one called Computer Basics. What are all those keys? Because we do get patrons who come in and, we'll say, hey, sit at a computer, will help you. And when you say something like, okay, click your mouse, and they might say, what do you mean? Like, what does that mean to click? And so we're really sometimes starting at the very beginning. I think libraries see those patrons, pretty frequently. And at Kansas City, Kansas, we see them a lot. And then we have, Girls Who Code and AI strategies for your resume. So we kind of run the gamut. But we do like to do partnerships, and do, things where we've got experts who come in and provide services whenever we can. So that is just kind of a brief overview of our strategy, but thank you. And let me know if you've got any questions, and I will stop sharing my screen.
Well, first of all, everyone should go to Schlegel Library and
Yes.
in Wyandotte County Lake, because it's just incredibly beautiful and cool. And if you have a kid who likes creepy crawly things, definitely recommend that. So not in the digital space, but it's really lovely. So thank
But
you.
I take my laptop out there and I sit out on the porch and I watch the birds. So it's
Yes, I mean, there's this lovely deck, and it's great. I think we'll maybe try and ask some universal questions once we get through all our presenters, because I think that there's going to be some commonalities here. So, all right, let's let's go ahead and hear from Paola.
Hi. Yeah, I have some of the same questions. Anyway, I'm watching them come in. I'm gonna try to not. My name is Morgan. I'm the director at Paola, and I have ADHD. So yell at me if I go on a rabbit trail. Um, so first, a little bit about me because it's relevant to how I approach this. Is that I grew up on a farm outside Paola. This was my home library. I grew up coming here, although it looked very different back then. And my family, we did not have internet until about 2001. I was about 15, 14, 15. I didn't have a cell phone until about 2003-ish. And it was, a brick, right? And by this point, by the way, my family was behind, right? Like some of my other peers had flip phones or had texting on their phones, which was like a huge thing back then. And so not only do I identify with the millennial of like growing up without technology, seeing it all get invented in our hands, but I was behind the curve because of my family's resources. And so that really informs how I approach digital inclusion, I think. So also a little bit about Paola because we are quite different from KCK. We have one branch. And the city has a population of about 5,800 roughly. We have 5,221 registered patrons. So don't be too impressed because we do steal them from other places outside Paola. So we are strictly speaking a city library, but we see people. We have quite a few actually from Spring Hill right now who drive down because the Spring Hill branch is closed for renovations. So don't be too impressed, but that's where we're starting from. So one thing that I am very passionate about is Verizon hotspots. We check those out to patrons. We have 19 that are currently functional and circulating. And there's a constant wait list. So we check them out for a 2-week period. It allows people to have internet wherever they're at. Laura mentioned the unhoused population. We do actually check out quite a few to them because, as you said, in our experience, our unhoused patrons do have cell phones, mostly cell phones. One has an e-reader, right, that she uses. So they want that internet access when we're closed. And so they will take that out to the campground where they, generally speaking, hang out. We do also keep one hotspot, by the way, for internal use. And that's not just the library, although it is helpful when our internet cuts out. But we also loan it to other city departments who might be having like an event somewhere that they need that for. And we also loan it to the school. So the FFA, my twin brother's the FFA advisor, and so he uses it probably the most. But when they go out to contests and things, he takes it with him so that he can do work while he's there. So that is probably our biggest outreach in terms of digital inclusion. But we do also have some of the same things Laura mentioned. We have, laptops for checkout. We have a bank of desktop computers for checkout that people can use on site. We do have chargers for checkout for patrons. At this point, and this was the policy when I came on a couple years ago, they don't leave the library. We might be pushing to change that, but as of right now, chargers can't leave the library. But we do see a lot of use of that by both our unhoused population and our teens. Our teens show up after school and their phones are dead because they've clearly been on them all day. So that gets used a lot. We also have quarterly tech help hours. I will say, and Leslie knows this, and well, some of you who've been in the meetings with me know this, it's not utilized much. In fact, we used to do it monthly and we scaled back to quarterly because we just weren't seeing attendance. So that is a kind of a pain point for us because we know that it's needed, but it's not being utilized the way we'd like it to. What we see a lot of is on-demand tech support. And so these are people who just show up. They might even be here for something else, right? And then they're like, oh, hey, by the way, um, I have this new phone and it won't do X, Y, and Z, right? And so most of my staff can help with most of the problems, right? And so that tends to work out. It can create some staffing issues, as you might suspect at times, right? We end up with a line of people waiting while we try to, you know, get Brenda into her phone or whatever is going on. So that's somewhat of an issue. We have published some little, pamphlets or guides for Hoopla, Aspen Lida, sort of the more common library apps that our patrons have access to. But that's probably our more common tech support outreach. And I will say also that e-readers are notoriously hard for our populations to use. And so that is something that we're kind of planning a little class on maybe this summer, just because there's so much confusion. I don't know if you guys see this too, but like, why can't my Paperwhite get the Hoopla app? And it's like, well, because it's a Paperwhite, right? Like, so that's kind of I think it's a fun one. Granted, I don't work the front desk on the regular, so my staff might disagree. We are trying to grow, and so I've just applied for a grant to get some additional digital inclusion technology. So we have, or I have written the grant, sorry, for reading pens. I don't know if you guys have seen these. They're sort of blocky pens that you can drag over text and it will read it aloud to you. You can hook headphones up to them also, but this came because we do have quite a few low vision individuals who are not interested in the talking books route, right? They've not lost their vision entirely, and so they don't feel like that's for them. But they may not be quite ready to, listen on their phones. And so this is kind of a nice little in between. It's still tactile. It's still, relatively low tech on the user end. Also screen magnifiers. Sometimes we think of tech as only, the computer stuff, but screen magnifiers are something that I also wrote into that grant, some that are on stands, so that they can put any device, really, but books in particular, underneath to read. And Leap pens from Leapfrog for the kids. So those come with specific books that it'll read, right? It won't just read anything. But again, for our kids with low vision, our kids with things like dyslexia or other reading hindrances. I hesitate to call them disabilities. But so that's kind of where we're hoping to move, is increasing access to that, making those things checkable, right? Like they can check them out, take them home, use them where they need to. So, and I saw that someone said, hang on, now I gotta find it. Oh, Leslie, you're related to Mary Dagenet Peoria? Yeah. That's so cool. Yes, her bust is on the square. And we work with the museum. The history museum's like just catty corner from the library. So we work with them on a lot of stuff. So that's really fun. Small world.
Jeannie is my mom's first cousin, if you know her.
Okay, yeah, I do. Look at that. Small world. And yeah, we have lots of genealogy related to the Dagenets. So if you're interested, come on down.
Yeah, that's great, Morgan. Thank you so much. I think it's interesting to get the perspective of small libraries because, we're really used to the bigger systems and so yeah, and we'll get to we're going to get to the challenges question here in a little bit. But I wanted to give our Johnson County folks some time, and then we'll loop back around and kind of go through and do a little round robin on some questions that I have. So I don't know, Sav, Bryan, which one of you is going to take it? But you have the floor.
Okay. Hi, my name is Sav Russell. I'm a web developer at Johnson County Library. Bryan?
And my name is Bryan Voell. I am a librarian of Johnson County Library.
So we're coming at it from two different angles today. I work with the website and all of our interfaces as well. So our touchscreen kiosks, our catalog-only kiosks, every sort of web property that we have for our patrons to interact with, I help fix. Bryan comes with more of like the physical side, the patron side, the collection side of things. So we have two very different views on what inclusion and accessibility means to our different sides of the library. Bryan, do you want to talk about our collection and our patrons?
Yeah, sure. So first of all, thank you for inviting us. And this is a new group. We are very excited to talk about these topics from a Johnson County Library perspective. And yeah, from what Sav has said, I am coming from more of the, front desk patron side, less of the tech side, which Sav is going to speak to. But yeah, why don't you take it away, Sav, and I'll piggyback.
Totally. Something I can really speak to is right now there's a major effort between government institutions to be in compliance with Title II, I believe, of the Americans with Disabilities Act, where all government institutions need to be fully accessible to the WCAG standards to 2.1, I believe, by April 26th, 2026. That deadline has been known for 2 years. And so that may be why there's so few web developers here, because they are also racing to hit that deadline between all aspects of our anything digital that we have, anything digital that we provide needs to be compliant to those standards. We are incredibly fortunate that we are what's considered a special government district. And so we have 1 more year in which to hit that accessibility deadline. But we're still working on hitting it as early as we possibly can. So if you have friends in the space, if you have other partners or other libraries, all my love to them, because wow, it's such an effort. Part of one of the biggest things that we focus on right now, at least in my job, is the website and then our catalog, and making sure that those are accessible to as many people as possible, so that folks, no matter who they are, no matter how they're visiting, no matter any of the characteristics about them that make them who they are, they can still access our website and they can still access our digital catalog collection. We do have a lot of ebooks provided through different services that are can be used on e-readers and phones. So like personal devices can also help there as well. But from like actually navigating the digital aspects, that's all been something we've been working with. We have gotten a lot of help. We have a great vendor that really prioritizes digital inclusion from like the get-go. Everything they do is grounded in that. And so our catalog, our events calendar, our website are all WCAG compliant 2.1, and they constantly push their efforts. Do they get it right every time? The first time? No. But when we have questions or other library systems are like, hey, this isn't working for our patrons, they're incredibly responsive as how to fix things. The other part of that is we generate a lot of content and we constantly update our website, and we're always constantly helping folks explore different aspects of our catalog and digital inclusion as far as language, as far as description, as far as picking good colors for things, as far as choosing good images and making sure to describe them for alt text really well. For folks who use screen readers or folks who use visual readers, making sure that they are able to have a great digital experience that matches our amazing physical spaces. That's been something that's been really key to our experience. As someone who wrangles code a lot more than other folks at the library, it's been really great to come in pretty recently and see just the foundation that has been built. There's been so much good work and good consistent work all across all of our digital properties to make sure that folks feel welcome in our spaces and can use our spaces. We have an accessibility page on the website explaining and exploring all the different aspects of our spaces and our collections to help folks navigate and identify like what sort of services do you have that can work for me. We're planning some updates to that soon. Something we just ran into, a magic moment yesterday, was we had a patron come in who needed books. They specifically wanted books, not e-reader devices, but books. And they were looking for books published in dyslexic-friendly fonts. And I went, oh, do we have that? And luckily, between a bunch of us on the virtual branch chat, we're able to get together and figure out, oh, wow, we do actually have quite a collection of physical books that work for this patron. So that's something that we're going to be sure to highlight, these different aspects of our collection and make sure that they're accessible for folks who, need to access books a different way. Totally fine. And I love that that spirit that a lot of the entire organization has of like, hey, um, we need to help you get something, we need to get these materials in your hands. How best can we do it? How can we make this work for you? And that's been something that's been really nifty to see all across the organization. Bryan, do you have any thoughts?
Wow, I am learning things about my own library and about other libraries. I am very uh, excited to learn all this stuff. So, uh, what I am encountering the most in my position at the library is, first of all, seeing what the patron needs are when they come in. Um, Morgan, you spoke about, somebody comes in with their phone and asks, how do I make this work on my phone? And one of the gaps in our services that we recognized was the up until recently, really the inability of our staff to spend one-on-one time with patrons, just focusing on the tech kind of questions that they may have. Um, you can come in and if we don't know what your question is or we're not prepared for it, and we've got a line, it's really challenging. It has been really challenging for us to really dedicate, sit down, one-on-one with patrons. That was remedied earlier this year. We have a book librarian service, and that was really meant to address those service gaps where we can really take a good chunk of time one-on-one with the patron and and to the best of our abilities, work with them on their tech questions. And we get everything from, yes, I'm trying to access this app to I need an email address, you know. And getting an email address seems so um, fundamental. And for a lot of people, it is a big challenge. And my heart goes out to people who feel like they've just been left behind and everybody else has an email address. I've never gotten one, but I need to apply for a job and I don't have an email address. I don't know how it works. So, you start from square one. So our book librarian service was really meant to address those particular needs, and it's been really rewarding. A few other things that we have implemented at the library that have really gone a long ways to bridge this technology gap. Of course, we have Wi-Fi throughout all of our libraries. We have 14 branches throughout the Johnson County Library Service system. That doesn't include the Tualathia libraries, which are, they are in Johnson County, but they're not technically part of the Johnson County Library System. But we overlap a lot of what we do. We have instituted remote printing that was new for us. That was a big thing to be able to enable patrons to print remotely. We also have a print allowance, which is $1.50 a day for free prints with a library card. So that has been very popular. There are also other things that we offer on our websites, like Stav pointed to. We have digital guides that highlight community resources, job and career building, e-resources like video tutorials. And it's one of the challenges is if somebody is tech challenged from the starting point, to get them to be comfortable with our online resources. We take them for granted, and we may think that they're really easy to use and accessible. There's a lot of great content but for a lot of people, just getting to that point, where you can get to that website, navigate through our website to our online resources. There are a number of points there that can be challenging for patrons. So for our staff to be able to recognize, yeah, there are times when we have to really walk patrons through step one from our website, and then getting to uh, something like LinkedIn Learning or Udemy or BrainFuse, all of these great resources that a lot of people are using, but still there is a gap there. How can we make those things even more accessible? Yeah, so I will pause there because I know that there are questions, and I do want to say hello to Laura, who's a former cohort of mine at Johnson County. And
Hi, Bryan.
hello,
So good to
Laura.
see you.
Good to see you too. I'm going to leave it there. And yeah, what questions does everybody have?
Yeah, I'll go back through the chat here. Wait, first of all, because I think this kind of relates to some of the challenges that I heard, which is really around staff capacity and the ability to do that, that provide that one-on-one support for people. It can be very time consuming, more of the digital navigation stuff, which really was born out of libraries. It's kind of a universal concept now, but just wondering, gosh, I've got so many questions, but IMLS funding was sort of turned upside down for a while. I think it's back on, but just from the funding landscape, can you all talk about any funding challenges? I know Morgan, I think you had some local challenges too, but just how does funding how do funding limitations affect your ability to provide these kinds of services to the community?
I talked about our hotspots being one of our biggest. And so if you've not heard, they were originally receiving the same kind of subsidies that, for instance, internet service does, hardwired internet does for libraries. And that got pulled. E-rate funding got pulled for hotspots. And so luckily, I have a very good foundation board here. They run purely on donations and investments, and they were able to pick that up and keep those hotspots in circulation for us. However, it does mean that I can't expand the hotspots the way we had originally planned to do this year. So that's been probably our biggest funding challenge.
I can speak a little bit about the IMLS funding. So the state of Kansas gets about $2.1 million for funding from IMLS. And that funds everything from like our summer reading program. But I think the really big things that it funds for a lot of libraries are those databases that the smaller libraries especially can't afford to access. So Bookflix, Learning Express Library, Mango Languages, it's a lot of really essential resources. For our library system, Kansas City, Kansas, we get about $50,000 and access to those databases. So it's not, compared to the size of our budget, it's not a huge expense that we're getting from, or budget that we're getting from them. But we had to really plan to be able to fund those databases ourselves if we were to lose access to them, which really can add up. So I think libraries, even though we got that funding back, some of what I've been talking about with some of the other local directors, especially like the smaller ones like Bonner Springs, is how can we maybe partner together to offer that resource? Because if a small library loses that, they're not necessarily going to be able to make up that funding, and then those patrons will lose access, and they'll have to go to another library potentially that maybe is too far away for them to even drive to get a card and access that.
Yeah, and as one of the smaller libraries, I will say when the IMLS thing came down, we just went, okay, we're going to lose databases, right? Like we can't. And what we focused our energy on was IMLS funding for us shows up also in our courier services, interlibrary loan services. And so that's where we were focusing on collaborating with at least a few libraries close to us, right? To figure out how we could maybe keep that lending going on.
Okay. So we talked a lot about how libraries are a trusted place for people to come who are really new to technology, and you're diving in on that to help those who have been left behind. Wondering how you're balancing out sort of the focus on the new shiny tech, AI, and of course also helping people learn about the scams that are happening just all the time, continue to grow. And how are you balancing that out? And then also, how are you ensuring your staff can continue to be up to date on the knowledge they need in order to help people on those current access that current technology?
I can speak to some of that. We definitely see a lot of fear around the scams and how to avoid them. And it is, I'm not really part of the training side of things, but for staff to be on top of everything that is coming our way, that our patrons are getting hit with, it's very, very challenging. I mean, there are basic things that we can help educate patrons on when we're working with them and they've got questions about, um, you know, um, uh, what does a scam email look like? What does a phishing email look like? And what if I click on the wrong link in my email? What happens and how can I avoid it? These are tough questions to really get to the bottom of when you're also dealing with um, uh, someone who may not, with people who may not be all that confident with tech just in general. So it gets really complicated and it's really challenging. Um, the best that we can do is to listen to our patrons when they ask us these questions and then help them the best way we can. Give them some fundamental digital safety, digital security uh, bullet points, and to show them, try to show them what a phishing email looks like and what to do with them and how not to click on links in an email that it looks suspicious. That is really the best way that we have found.
I can speak to a little bit about the keeping up with the latest and greatest technology innovations, and that side of it, being a developer, that's something that I hear and is in our spaces a lot of, always trying the new best thing. That's something a lot of developers are very fond of. I'm not one of them. I prefer something that is reliable, that's something that works every time, guaranteed. Morgan, I was definitely hearing you when you said that you grew up in a very remote area. So did I. If it were not for a Verizon hotspot, we would still only be able to have dial-up where we live because they just can't run cable out that far. And so part of my philosophy on that is for every innovation that pushes us forward, it always leaves people behind. And if we're really going to be champions of access and equity and making sure that things are for everyone, we can't just always look to be going ahead. We have to make sure that everyone else comes with us as well. That's something that I've really pushed for on our websites is like making sure that they load well and they don't load in a bunch of extra data that folks who have like pay by the megabyte data plans that they don't get charged $5 just to look at our website because that's silly. No, thank you. Um, as someone who intimately feels that, like, no, I'm not going to push to have more videos, push to have like a flashier website with more animations on them. That's not something that really works for all of our patrons. And so I take care to evaluate all of our different aspects of our site, new technologies, and wonder if those really do actually solve a problem that our patrons have with access, or whether it's just really cool and it's what everyone is doing right now. We try to be really, in our tech choices, we do have the limitation of we are under the control of Johnson County government. And so we do have to adhere to some of their AI policies. They're posted on our website. But we do evaluate all of our technical options and then weigh of like, is that something that we really do want to integrate in? And then also who are we leaving behind if we do integrate these things in?
Yeah, I really appreciate that perspective because yeah, my answer to the how do you keep up with the new shiny technologies is we don't. And even if we wanted to, right, budget would become an issue for the smaller libraries, but for me it's not a priority. It's about simple. In fact, I'm in the process of getting rid of our old website and integrating everything that a patron might need into the same website as the catalog. And our system, luckily, Neckles is allowing that, right? Like is with Aspen is the name of it. And so yeah, it doesn't look as pretty, but it's gonna load better. It's gonna be a one-stop shop for my patrons. You know, things like that. So absolutely agree.
And I kind of come at it from not necessarily like the library itself adopting all of these technologies, although I agree with everything that you're saying, Morgan. Like sometimes it's better to just stick with, and Sav, what's better to stick with what's tried and true. But in terms of like, how are we handling this new technology? I'm picturing this question as like, how are we handling like those people who want all the new, best, brightest, and those people who are really like still at the very beginning of their technology learning journey? But I think a lot of what I found in KCK and some of my other library experience is that the people who already feel comfortable with technology are not necessarily the people who are coming to our classes. So like when we're doing even an AI class, it's still really geared toward either kids, teens, or like someone who's really just now trying to figure out like what the heck is AI. And so for our staff, I mean, I think we're learning along with them. We're trying, our staff are also our patrons, right? Like they're the people who are living in our community, who are having the same struggles that our patrons are having. They don't know necessarily the best way to use AI. And so we've only recently hired a trainer to start a training department within our library to focus on those kinds of things. To try to, we've always had the attitude, and I think a lot of libraries are like this, like, oh, librarians are learners, so they'll just learn it, and then they'll be able to teach patrons. And that's not necessarily the case. Like we need to learn and be trained just as much as anybody else. So where do we go for that?
I've got one last question and I'll open it up to the floor. So we have this big infrastructure funding that came through. We're supposed to have internet for all. A lot of times, libraries have provided that resource when it's been unavailable or unaffordable or both. And just wondering from you all's perspective, how you think that once people get hopefully home internet, and also hopefully there will be funding to help them learn how to use it and stay safe. How do you think that's going to affect your library services, if at all?
I think everything, any throughout history, libraries have adapted to provide whatever our patrons need. And so when books were very hard to come by, we gave out books. And then, you know, newspapers and magazines and audiobooks and DVDs and so we always are adapting, and so that's just what we do. So it would be amazing if everyone had internet, and then they could access all of the great resources we have online and interact with us more online. There will always still need to be the library there providing support in whatever way. Maybe that's more virtual, maybe we have to increase our virtual support, maybe we've got so many users accessing us through the website. Like Sav said, we have to make sure that everything is accessible through the website and easy to use, and you can contact people. So I think we'll just keep adapting and figuring out what our patrons really need and what support they need from us, and then we'll provide it.
And I think to Sav's earlier point, making sure that we're not leaving anybody behind, because internet for all sounds great, but there's a lot of practical questions. How does that work for renters, for example, or our unhoused population? In Paola, I think somebody commented that you don't think about small towns having homeless populations or unhoused populations. We do, and in fact, there are fewer resources generally in our communities for them. So internet for all doesn't actually mean internet for all either. So there's still going to be a need for us to provide internet, hotspot devices, things of that nature. And then, yeah, like you said, Lord, training for that, because if you just hand someone something they've never had, what are they going to do with it?
Yeah, I have to agree. And it kind of reminds me of a computer in every classroom way back in the day, which it sounds great, but there is also like, what if you can't afford the device? What if you can't afford a phone? What if you can't afford a laptop to access that internet for all? That creates a barrier there too, that libraries can help address. And I have a related question that I do want to throw out to the group, because this is something that I've struggled with, that coworkers have struggled with, and maybe there are some ideas out there. So I want to pick your brains. Somebody comes into the library and they want to get an email address, but they don't have a phone. If you sign up for an email address, you have to have a phone. You have to have a number to verify. Do we have any solution to that?
I'm not going to lie, I didn't even know you needed a phone because I signed up for my email so long ago.
Yeah,
Yes, because they send you a code,
yeah.
and there is for the more popular ones, for Yahoo and Gmail specifically, that you need that in order to get your email
There,
address.
Okay,
there are a few that don't require it, and so I'll usually send people to those, but they're like,
I would say
they're like the off-brand. They're the off-brand email
a
addresses.
quick Google search
Yeah,
shows that Proton does not
yeah.
require it. Atomic Mail doesn't require it. So yeah, there's a few out there. One thing I will say we have done for people in the past is if they need an email address just for some sort of verification, right? Like if you're on the phone with certain companies, they'll send you an email to verify or whatever. We have a general library email that we will give them. and
Oh,
then they
really?
can just stand there at the desk and,
Oh,
when we get the email, we say, okay, here's your code. Um, but if they need it for anything more than that, then yeah, I mean, your question stands.
yeah. Thank you. Yeah, that was one something that we're trying to find a good solution for. And yeah, there are email services that don't require a phone. But for one reason or another, we haven't really pursued those. I don't remember exactly what the reasons are, but yeah, thank you.
Does anyone else on the call have any suggestions for Bryan?
I'm not sure if my suggestion is so helpful, but in our case, we work with the refugee. When they first arrive, they don't have a phone, but they have case worker. So if there's like a Department of Social Work at the library, they can provide like some phone or like the case worker phone. And we still receive email for like a refugee who arrived 6 years ago to our personal phone or our work phone. This was the way we do it until they have their own phone.
And I would just suggest, Bryan, if you're not on the NDIA listserv, you can join that, at no cost. And these are the exact kind of questions you can throw out to that listserv that's got, I don't know, probably several thousand people on it. Jackie.
I was just wondering if Google Voice still gives out free phone numbers. I mean, I still have mine, but I got it 15, 20 years
No,
ago.
you have to
Uh,
pay for Google Voice, I think.
Oh,
I don't know. Okay, I was gonna say we just set one up with no cost to us, but then uh I don't know if that's I'm wondering if the city has a business subscription maybe that we're on.
All right, anybody have any questions for any of our panelists?
Is it time for question for us,
It
for the
is.
public?
Yes, go ahead,
Okay.
Lena.
Yeah, thank you. I have two questions actually. I hope I'm saying the name correct. For teaching AI, I think Laura mentioned teaching AI. Do you teach, are you like maybe your teacher willing to do like visit our center, let's say to present for our client, or how it goes? Because we live in Kansas City, Missouri, and we have refugee center and we do some
Yeah.
training.
So I would suggest reaching out to the Kansas City, Missouri library to
Mhm.
see if they will do it. Not that we wouldn't travel to Missouri, but because they have services there, we wouldn't want to encroach on their territory. We try to, kind of stick in our own areas. But I am sure that they do outreach if you're interested in a partnership where, they could come and talk about either what the library has to offer or some specific resource. I can put the name of the contact that I have in the chat for you from that library system if you would like.
Yeah, thank you. I have worked with Book Mobile and I
Hmm.
have reached out to Wendy,
Okay,
but
yep.
about AI, I haven't heard anything. That's why it was good.
Yeah, let me see if I can find out something for you. Hold on, and I'll put it in the chat if I can.
Thank you.
Mhm.
And actually, I'm putting now in the chat also the training we're starting with refugee about digital skills and digital and financial skills. So we provide those classes. We're gonna start next Thursday. If anyone work with refugee immigrant, they are welcome, and all the information in the flyer.
Cool.
I also have a question for Bryan. I'm curious. I think I used to live next to the 87 branch, Johnson County Library, but I moved now to Waldo. Book a librarian. Is this work also with people with a special need? Like I have a client who's a refugee. She's not child, so doesn't go to regular school. She's adult, like 25 years old, but she also has like vision problem.
Carolina, we lost you. Are you there? Yeah, you froze up. I can speak to Book a Librarian. It is for anybody. And I can put a link in our chat to our service. So if you have somebody who needs to get a hold of us through Book a Librarian, you can very easily make an appointment with us. And yeah, I hope you can hear me.
Maybe we've got time for like maybe one more question. Anybody have one for any of our panelists? All right. Well, thank you everyone so much for that insight. I think it was really interesting to hear the different perspectives. And Laura, if you wouldn't mind putting in a contact information for the KCK library. It may not be you directly, but whoever you might want to connect Helen with in your system. She's doing some great stuff. And I want to just thank you personally for noting that we have a library desert where I live. And and so maybe someday we will have a library there.
And the complication of the UG and KCK and the school district, it makes it real challenging.
I know. All right. Well, it is time for announcements. We have something that came across our desk that we wanted to share. Digitunity is a national nonprofit organization working on device access, and they reached out about an initiative they are working on with AT&T. And so Leah has dropped that information in the chat. Right now, we are going to be a partner organization with them, and are going to be reaching out to some of our past Casey Goes Tech org. So is Mr. Ike still on? Yeah, Mr. Ike, expect an email. Then also we thought maybe, and this is perfect because the library systems might be interested in this. So they have a curriculum that AT&T developed. They're looking to just increase the usage of that, I think. So if you are willing to train at least 55 learners as the kind of primary organization, then and that means a minimum of 3 workshops that are 45 minutes long. Then your participants will qualify for a free refurbished device. And so we're going to be again reaching out to some folks to see if they want to be a part of the group that's going to make up that 55 in our partnership. But they are looking for additional organizations. So our library systems, Literacy KC, we thought of you. Also, I don't know, I don't see Laura on the call, but also Goodwill. But really the main thing is that that you can reach that minimum of 55 learners. The timeline is very short. I just noticed this morning they started this last fall, but they're looking, I think, by the 3rd week in August. So if you're interested, you can go here, and then also I have the well, actually, Leah, can you put the link to schedule time with Donna Fuentes at Digitunity? Is it her link? Mm-hmm. Okay, great. So then you'll have that information, and that's Kelly, which program are you looking for a flyer? Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, uh, are you on the Kansas side? I'm guessing. Work maybe work with workforce partnership. Okay, so yeah, that would be another, the workforce orgs. Yep. Yeah. So that would be another one that we could definitely connect you. I would just say to reach out directly to Donna. You don't need to have us in the middle of it. Um, but for those orgs who, may be able to train 8, 10, 12, 15 people over the course of that time, that's who we want to hear from. So if that's more in your wheelhouse, let us know. But if you think you can get to that 55, just contact Donna directly. Um, any questions, clear as mud?
I'm just wondering, like thinking about this from a library perspective, is the goal of this just to increase the number of classes available? Because like we could teach these classes. It might actually complicate it to get money from anybody to teach them. It would actually probably be easier if we just taught them. But like I'm just curious like what the end goal is for this.
Yeah, I think it's from both sides of the equation. One is to help more people get devices, and then from the AT&T side, it's probably to increase the use of their curriculum that they invested in creating. So
So
that is
the participants get a device when they participate?
yes. So
Oh, okay.
they get a free refurbished device if they complete at least 3 45-minute workshops that are part of the AT&T curriculum.
Okay. And does it say that somewhere? I'm looking at the website, but I don't see.
So
I'm
we
not looking at.
so we would reach out directly to Donna. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah. If you think you can reach that 55, if you think that it might be that you can't quite get to that 55, feel free to connect with us and we'll talk about what that looks like to have sort of that network of organizations. Mary Kay?
Yeah, we've got our upcoming Career Fest coming up. Next Step Career Fest. I just put a flyer in the chat for that. Going to have lots of great employers there, as well as training opportunities for participants from anywhere in the city. So we'd love to have you join us. Thank you.
I think you have to download that flyer and then have it as an attachment because right now it's going like to
PDF.
your computer.
Okay, it's a PDF, but I have to download it. All right, I'll work on that.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah. Anybody else have any announcements? Things going on? Right. Well, Helen, do you want to talk at all? Yeah. We we're going to do a train the trainer, and I think Helen, would you be okay with anybody joining your train the trainer?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. It's gonna, and I have a flyer. I was trying to figure out how to, I think just emailed it to you. I don't know how to put it up. But thanks to Leslie and Lee, they were able to line us up with a Train the Trainer program, which will take place at the Vernon Multipurpose Center for the next 2 Tuesdays from 9:30 to 12:30. Our goal is to have trainers in place to help with the instruction of our Adopt 2.0 program, and those persons will receive stipends for the classes that they teach as well.
And
So-
Helen, would you welcome anyone who might just want to join your class, but go back to their own organization and be a trainer?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you for that.
Hopefully they'll do multiple programs, including Vernon, but absolutely.
Okay. Great. Mary Kay?
Haven't got it yet. I'll keep working.
Okay.
I'll get
So
it to you.
I saw you come off
Did the
mute.
flyer come up for people or no?
Yeah, I just put it in the chat, so hopefully it did.
When
Leah,
I
you
click on it,
want
I
to test that?
don't, let me see. No, I don't get it.
Really? You
I'll
don't see it in the...
edit, delete.
Mhm.
Okay. Leah's able to access it, so
Is anyone else able to access it? If they can, this one maybe. There it is. Okay, got it. Okay.
all right. What else is happening in our community? Maybe it would be helpful. I don't know. I guess it's probably just in your regular calendar. All our library systems post their classes and on their calendars, I'm assuming. So it's a good place to find out what's happening and going on. And
Okay.
yeah, and that way we'll know there. What else? Anything?
I was just gonna say, if they're interested, please, I'll put my info at Vernon Center.
Yeah, no, that's great. Leah, go ahead.
Because we probably can accommodate up to 10. We'll have to let our instructor, Carol Myers, know. I'm going to be talking with her tomorrow. So I promised her I'd give her a count so that she would know how many materials. So you can text me, you can email me, whatever works, so that I can give her a good count before Tuesday. And I think we're going to probably try to do up to 10 people if we can for the 2 classes.
Sounds great. Yeah, I mean, and you know, I think Carol's approach is it's really about learning how to be an instructor, you know, more so than anything. And even though she's been doing this forever, she said she always learns something from people. So, you know, even if you're a veteran, seasoned trainer, you know, it might be worth your time to hang out and just see what other things are, you know, you might not have thought about. Leah's put the information about the Learning Circle. We welcome everybody to join us. Megan with the Kansas City Public Library will be talking about passwords, always a thing, right? I know I'm probably not the best at that. So good universal knowledge for us all, and we welcome anybody to join. So I'll do one last call for any group announcements. All right. Well, with that, happy Easter to everyone who celebrates, and have a great weekend.